So last time we went over what I consider to be the top 5 uncommon items in Dungeons & Dragons 2024, which I expect characters to be getting around levels 5 through 8 or so. But today we are going to go over the top 5 rares in D&D 2024, which I expect characters to be getting levels 9 through 12 or so. So more powerful than uncommons, and you can get some really cool stuff. So without further ado, let's jump in and check out what I consider to be the top 5 rares in D&D 2024. Coming in at number 5, we have the Ring of Spell Storing / Iron Stone of Reserve, because the Ring of Spell Storing holds up to 5 spell levels, and the Iron Stone holds up to 4 now. Back in 2014, it was 3, it got a little bit of a buff, and so now very close to the Ring of Spell Storing, although obviously the Ring is better, but I didn't want to call out the Iron Stone in the honorable mention list or anything, so I'm just going to mention it here since it's pretty much the same thing. And man, what a versatile item. Very good for resource management because it pushes yesterday's slots into today where you get to use them, and just incredibly versatile. You can fill it up with lots of different spells. You can change it from day to day depending on what mission you have, and it can be as simple as 5 shields for your marshal, or it could be a wall of force so that you can shut someone down. In fact, because it's so easy to offload its attunement to a familiar or a summon, it enables a lot of shenanigans, like double concentration shenanigans, like a microwave. You can do that with one caster now. Just the caster costs a wall of force, and then out of the ring, your familiar pumps out a sickening radiance or wall of fire or something, and now you're cooking with gas. So just really amazing item. It enables so many shenanigans that I couldn't leave it off the top 5 list. Comes in at number 5. At number 4, we have the Cube of Force. I get it. It's gotten a huge nerf from 2014, in which it was a game-breakingly OP item. I should know because I use it on several of my characters. On one character, he has a reach weapon with Great Weapon Master and Polar Master, so he uses the cube to block out all living. They can't get close enough to him while they are within reach of him, and it's hugely effective. On another character, I just use it to make him immune to spells, because he's immune to pretty much everything else, and now that spells are off the list, he's just almost unkillable. That's how I like it. It's a little OP, but you know, I didn't write the item. They did fix it, but nonetheless, it is still really, really good. It has Wall of Force and it has Shield, which are 2 of the very, very best spells in the game, and the others are pretty good too. So from one item to deliver like 5 shields and 1 Wall of Force in one day, that's amazing. That's why the Cube of Force, despite getting nerfed, makes it at number 4 on my list of top 5 rares for 2024. Then at number 3, we have got the Staff of Swarming Insects. I have always loved this item. I have never had a chance to play with it. In fact, it's on my priority list to make a build around the Staff of Swarming Insects, just through the roleplay and through its incredible mechanical benefits. Heavy Obscurement that does not affect you is one of the best defenses in the game. It takes sight spells off the table, it takes sight abilities off the table, it prevents people from using sight-based teleports, you are attacked at disadvantage, and it doesn't impede your own offense at all. You can still cast all your sight spells, and your attacks are at advantage now. So that is absolutely incredible. I think it scales very well into T4, because at that level most monsters have True Sight, and this item defeats True Sight, because it's swarming insects. And that's not in the description of True Sight that you can see through swarming insects. So it holds up really well, I think, in higher levels because of the prevalence of True Sight and the fact that high-level spells are really super dangerous. So to get rid of the sight ones, you know, is really amazing. So I have always loved it for that. It is a 10-minute duration, so you can precast it aggressively, and you've got 10 charges, so even if you lose it, who cares? But still, with 10 minutes duration, you're going to be able to cast it before many battles, maybe even get multiple battles out of it. I will say the size of it can be problematic. You might impede your teammates, and you don't want that. I would recommend this more for a kiter, some kind of caster that hangs out in the back, or any kind of backline guy. That way you're not messing with your frontline guys, but if you're a backline guy, absolutely incredible, one of the best defenses / offenses in the game. And it comes with 2 spells. Both spells are pretty good. The Insect Plague spell hasn't changed really from 2014, but it's still a good AoE, and it's persistent, and in 2024 there is a lot of forced movement. There's grappling and all sorts of abilities that can move people around, And so getting off-turn damage with this spell is really amazing. And then there's Giant Insect, which is a pretty darn good summon. It is not quite as good as the 2014 Giant Insect because you could get a Giant Scorpion out of that, and that's better than any of the options that you get with this spell, but it's still pretty good. It is a little bit disappointing that it only has a 10-minute duration. Most of the similar spells have 1 hour duration, so it would have been cool if this one had gotten that buff, but it didn't. So a little bit of nerf there, but nonetheless, the Staff of Swarming Insects is mostly about that cloud of heavy obscurement that doesn't affect you, and so yeah, one of my favorite items, super duper strong, comes in at number 3 of my list of top 5 rares in Dungeons & Dragons 2024. At number 2, we have the Enspelled Staff level 3. This is crazy good. The Enspelled Staff did not quite make my top 5 list of uncommons. It did make the honorable mention list, because when it can store any first level spell, I didn't think it quite held up. But now that it can hold level 3 spells, wow. That is really good, because there's a bajillion really good level 3 spells. You could have Aura Vitality in there. You could have Conjure Animals. You could have Conjure Barrage, which I consider better than Fireball because there's no friendly fire. You could have Counterspell. You could have all sorts of crazy good level 3 spells. That is really amazing. That is why the Enspelled Staff makes number 2 on my list of top 5 rares in 2024. And coming in at number 1, we have the Vicious Weapon. Oh my god, what a glow up from 2014 when it just wasn't any good. But now it is plus 2d6 damage on each hit and no attunement. Oh my god, I might rather have this than like Awakened Dragon's Wrath weapon because it does similar damage and it's attunement. So Vicious Weapon to be non-attunement and to pump out that kind of crazy damage, going to completely transform any Marshal's damage output. So good. Any Marshal is going to be salivating for one of these as their first rare. It is number 1 on my list of top rares for 2024. Now, it was very difficult to pair the list of 88 by my count rares available down to a top 5 list. There were some honorable mentions. I've got 10 honorable mentions that I just wanted to go over quickly because I wanted you to know the challengers to the top 5 and be aware of some other really good items that you might want. Coming in, we're doing this alphabetical. So firstly, Amulet of Health / Belt of Hill Giant Strength. ASIs are always good. Con is good on any build. Strength is critical to many builds. To get huge buffs without having to spend them in your actual stat spend is fantastic. You always try and get them if you can. These are great on lots of builds. Then we have Boots of Speed. Boots of Speed, I think, is underrated because speed is underrated in this game. Everybody is focused on damage, right? But speed kills, speed matters. You never really fight in a 10 by 10 box. You tend to fight on these ginormous maps and your enemies aren't right there and you have to get to them, and having speed is always a huge advantage. I play plenty of characters with lots of maneuverability options, and great speed is just really, really good. It always performs well. I like Boots of Speed. It makes my honorable mention list. Next we have Cape of the Mountebank. No attunement, free Dimension Door every day. I shouldn't have to say much more than that, right? Oh, except watch the deep dive I just did on Dimension Door not too long ago. It's on the channel. I'll put a link of it in the description. Then we have the Cloak of Displacement. This one is kind of old and boring, but still so effective. I've had this one on characters, and it just avoids so much damage. You get hit so much less. It is just so mechanically strong. Gotta put it on the list of honorable mentions. Next we have Cube of Summoning and Items of Elemental Command. These are more or less the same thing, they just summon different things, but they're all about the same power level, since the Cube of Summoning, which is a new item, summons a level 5 version of whatever one it spits out. They're all of about equivalent power. They're going to get 2 attacks, they're going to have good hit points and decent armor class, similar to the elementals that you can get from the Items of Elemental Command, and that actually got a buff, because the 2014 version was based on the Conjure Elemental spell. And that was a dangerous spell, because if you lost concentration on it, then the elemental became hostile. And that was very annoying, and that actually caused me to avoid these items. But now there's no such issue, and so a non-attunement powerful summon for an hour a day is really, really good in this game. That's why it makes my honorable mention list. Then we've got Daern's Instant Fortress. And man, I know Daern's got a huge, huge nerf from 2014. Where it was crazy good. It did 10d10 damage when you deployed it, and it was not attunement, and it created a freaking adamantine fortress that, offered crazy good cover with arrow slits and all of that. So even though it's attunement now, and even though it doesn't do damage now, it is still super good. Because if you're a kiter, what do you want to do? You want to use cover. And what do you want to do if there's no cover? You want to make cover. And what do you do if you can't make cover? Well, you're probably going to die. Well, if you have Daeron's Instant Fortress, you don't ever have to worry about it. You can always make cover. You can always make really good cover. And so that's why it's one of the most powerful items out there and made my honorable mention list. Next, we have Enspelled Weapon Level 3. And similar to Enspelled Staff, it just gets really good now that we can put third level spells in there. Even though it's limited schools of magic, they're pretty good schools, Conjuration and Transmutation and Evocation. So I think you can get some really good options like Conjure Barrage and Elemental Weapon and Conjure Animals or Fly, or just so many good third level spell options out there. I didn't put Enspelled Armor on this list because I still feel like Shield is the killer app for Enspelled Armor. And since, it's an uncommon to get it as a first level Enspelled Armor, I didn't think Enspelled Armor quite made the list here. Then we have Figurine of Wondrous Power, the Bronze Griffin. I actually wanted to put a bunch of them on here. I think the elephant is really good. I think the goats are really good. But I didn't want to have a bunch of them on here. I decided to go with just one, and I think the Bronze Griffin is the cream of that crop. A strong flying summon that you can use for 6 hours for every few days. That's really amazing. No attunement. It makes my list of honorable mentions. Next, we have the Brass Horn of Valhalla. Got a huge nerf from 2014. It used to summon 3d4 plus 3 Berserkers, and now it summons just 3, but still, that's really good. Berserkers are very strong. To get 3 of them on the field at one time is amazing. It can easily turn the tide of battle. That's why I still like it, and it makes my list of honorable mentions. And then finally, we have the Ring of Resistance. No longer attunement. Oh, baby. Yeah. I got 10 fingers. I'll take one of each, please. That would just be amazing to collect all of these rings, and now you are just resistant to everything. That is fantastic. No attunement makes these really, really strong. It's always great to have resistances. If you've got all of the resistances, that's, a good thing. You can not get BPS, but otherwise, any resistance available through a Ring of Resistance, and no attunement, that makes it awesome. So they make my honorable mention list as well. So yeah, that's it. My top 5 of the 88 or so uncommons in the game, plus a list of 10 honorable mentions. What do you think? Did I make a good list? Do you think I screwed up and I should have put this other item in there, or there's no way that that item belongs in there? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And regardless, thank you so much for watching. This has been Built Bronze and Dragons. I'm your host, Built Bronze Bafflestone. See you next time.